Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special edition of Ask the Culpeppers. Today, we will be dealing with an issue that's flooding television programs, magazine articles, and all over social media. Should parents pressure their kids to play competitive sports? That's a matter of opinion. 5 of my friends chimed in on this particular issue, and we're going to break it down. As a former coach, parent, athlete, I've got plenty to say. Let's go. Thank you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special edition of Ask the Culpeppers. First off, I would like to take the time out to thank our sponsors at the Baby Spot Digital Global Parenting Magazine, the only global parenting magazine specializing in parenting blog posts, step-by-step guides, product reviews, family travel, and more. Provides resources that empower parents all over the world. And secondly, we would like to thank the UPS store Garland, operated by David and Donna K. Wright, located at 5435 North Garland Avenue, Suite 140 in Garland, Texas 75040. They make sure that packages like this that's sent all the way from Canada for us to have on our show arrive safely. Their packages are not just thrown around, but cared for like a baby, just waiting on you. All right, let's jump right on into it. We have a question from Karen S., and the question reads as follows. Dear Culpeppers, my in-laws are putting a lot of pressure to put my children in competitive sports. They are extremely sporty, but my 14-year-old daughter loves photography and reading, and my 10-year-old son is doing great in his junior debate team. They play sports with friends, but take photography classes, music classes, etc. My in-laws say we are hurting our kids when we don't put them in football, swimming, and baseball. My kids are good, well-mannered, have nice friends, and are so happy. They play sports with friends, but nothing competitive. Is it okay for the kids to just enjoy what they are in, or should I push sports? Let me start out by stating the facts. Many kids are suffering from depression, they're suffering from anxiety, and having significant issues because they are being pressured to participate in competitive sports. I remember reading an article years ago when I was coaching at South Garland High School, and it was called the pressure to perform. And the article talked about the psychological impact that bruise youngsters who are placed in sports that they're not interested in or ready to play. And so I have 5 friends that sent me in some information. They wanted to chime in on this particular subject. And so I want to go to Oklahoma and see what Demetrius has to say about this particular issue.
Hello everybody, my name is Demetrius and I'm from Ada, Oklahoma. Now the question that was asked of us was, as parents, should we make our kids play competitive sports? Now my answer is yes, we should, and at the same time, no, we shouldn't. Now let me explain myself just a little bit. Now I have 2 kids, one by the name of Jacoby. She plays AAU basketball and she also plays travel softball. Now I have another kid, a son by the name of Tice, and he also plays AAU basketball and travel baseball. Now I believe from the ages of maybe 5 to maybe junior high, maybe somewhere in between that age, that yes, we should make our kids play competitive sports. And the reason why is because competitive sports teaches our kids a whole bunch of things that nothing else would teach them, like teaches them to be competitive, to work hard, to work as a team, to win and to lose. It teaches them how to do that gracefully. It gives them the social skills that they'll need to succeed in society. Me, myself, as being a former athlete, those are the things that I actually learned by playing those competitive sports. Now, on the flip side of that, when they get a little bit older, at this point in time, they've actually learned what they like and what they don't like. If they do not like to play a sport, then yes, then I believe no, you should not make them play, especially when they get older, because like I said before, they actually know what they like and what they don't like. And when you get older, the older you get, the more expensive sports actually gets. And if they don't like to play that sport, then you really can't make them play. You can pay all the money in the world, but essentially you're just going to be wasting your money, because they're not gonna give it their all. And if they don't give it their all, then when you go out there to the sporting events, you're going to end up being upset and angry at the kid and yelling, and it could possibly ruin your relationship with them, just because they're not giving it their all. And that's because they really didn't want to play the sport in the first place. So the takes on this is yes. Yes and no. I believe you should. When they're younger, yes, you should make them play, because that's the only way they're going to learn if they like something or not. And when they get older, no, you should not make them play if they don't want to play, because in the end, you're just going to end up upsetting yourself and upsetting them, and it could possibly strain the relationship that you have with your kids. That's pretty much it. If you have any other questions, you can ask the Culpeppers. All right, thank you.
Thank you for those comments. You know, in his response, I was looking at something. It was more around what competitive sports actually teach kids. And he's saying that younger, yes, and older, no. But those are some very good points that he made. So I want to take a look at what another friend of mine said. Rob Webster. He sent me his response in writing. And he says this, and I quote, "No, I don't think you should pressure your kids to play sports. Most parents live out their failed dreams through kids. If the kids don't want to play, you really shouldn't make them, especially in high-impact sports like football." So when I was looking at that particular response, and I was thinking he's absolutely right. You know, we force our kids into sports that are high impact, which can actually injure them and impact them for the long haul of life. And so, in even looking at football is just a sport that you play for a period of time. It's not the only sport, but it's one that can have grave impact on a kid, on a youngster, psychologically and physically. And also, let me touch on this for a second. There are other sports and other activities that kids can play and can get scholarships in. As a matter of fact, let me put something up on the screen. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Non-collision sports like track, golf, rowing, gymnastics, and a whole host of other sports that are being played, kids can also get scholarships in, just as they can football, basketball, or even baseball, or even swimming. Take a look at this particular list, because your child may be good at some of these things, and colleges are giving away thousands of dollars to these kids that can participate in said sports that you see. And these aren't the only one. These are just some. And this came from the ecollegefinder.org article that they had posted that talks about scholarships and the percentage of kids that are getting these scholarships. As well, Miss Karen stated that her kids like music and debate and reading and photography. Why not let your kids do that? Everybody don't have to play competitive sports. There are scholarships in those subjects as well. Go into journalism. And one thing that she said that really resonated with me is that her kids are good mannered. How many of you want kids or got kids that are good manners, or seen kids that have piss poor attitudes? Let's just keep it real. Their attitudes are piss poor. They got all the athletic ability in the world, but you can't tell them nothing. But this lady specifically states that her kids are happy, and that they're wholesome, and that they're well mannered. And there's nothing worse than an athlete with a poor attitude. I want to read another quote that was sent in by a friend of mine named Elliot Clayton. And I'm going to read his words and what he said about this particular subject. He says, allow your kids to experiment. Try multitude of activities and at about 12 or 13, then focus on what they choose. He went on to say that picking one sport exclusively can put undue stress on your musculoskeletal system that leads to fractures, joint problems, and potential skeletal plate injuries. Often leads to kids hating the sport because it's more work than enjoyment. Thank you, Elliot, for those comments, and those are some very good points. Now, I also want to hear from another friend of mine, Kevin Cooper. Let's see what Kevin Cooper has to say. One moment. Take a listen.
What up, Pat? On the question about should parents or in-laws apply pressure to kids playing sports, I don't think it should be pressure. And the reasons why is because if you pressure the kids to actually play sports, they'll end up getting hurt or they're not liking it and just different things like that. So an exposure to a certain event is good. Exposure to a certain athletic endeavor is good. But if they don't like it, then by all means, they shouldn't pressure them into it. I think the soft skills are important in sports, being able to stay committed. But you can also get that through all the things that they are doing already, like the fine arts aspect as well. So I don't think they should be pressured into participating in sporting events, especially if they're already doing something extracurricular that provides them with those soft skills that are actually needed in the job force right now. So that's my take on it.
Thank you, Kevin, for those comments. And when I was taking a look at that, don't risk getting your kids injured or hurt by pressing them to play, but value the soft skills. That's a very good point, Kevin. And Kevin and all of these gentlemen that have spoken so far are former athletes as well, both high school, collegiate, and some pro. And so let's take a look. So finally, I want to hear some words of wisdom from master basketball skills coach and author and motivational speaker, Walter Scott. Now, Walter Scott works with athletes around the clock, from youth all the way to adult. And I want you all to hear what he told me when I asked him about this subject. And here's what he said. Parents definitely should not pressure their kids to play competitive sports for many reasons. Most athletes experience a certain level of fear during sporting events. The main source of fear being making mistakes and fear of failure. If a child does fail and is not given proper reassurance from coaches and parents, then failure now turns into a bruised ego. He says, moreover, in some cases, parents may force their kids to play sports, and then when kids fail, they are disappointed. Now we have an athlete who feels embarrassed by failing in public and extra quiet letting down his or her teammates, coaches, and parents. Thank you, Walter, for that particular response, sir. I really appreciate it. So, when it comes to forcing your kids or pressuring your kids to play competitive sports, you've heard some information from some professionals on some advice on what you should and should not do. So, in conclusion, should parents pressure their kids to play competitive sports? Here's my thought on it. I think kids should be encouraged to participate in sports their parents see that they may be good in, but not forced or pressured. There is nothing wrong with reading, writing, dance, debate, etc. And you can tell your in-laws, Karen, kindly to govern their own home and their own kids. No one knows what's best for your house. They can say what they want. But if they're starting to pressure you and all of that, they have absolutely crossed the line. Because your household is unique to you. And you don't have to pressure your kids. And one thing you said that really resonated with me is that you have some well-managed kids. And that's what's important, because football and competitive sports are only for a season of life. Reading, writing, singing, debate, you can do forever. So you have to do what's best for your kids. So be sure to comment, folks, share your thoughts, and follow us on social media. And get ready for the next show. Thank you very much. Take care.